Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. So I want to touch on a topic once again, one that I've talked about in the past, and it's what makes survivalist preppers, homesteaders tick. I've speculated in the past that because of our overabundance of stuff that we have available to us, and all the comforts and amenities of modern life, in many ways placate our humanity. The excess of our modern materialistic lifestyles make us feel robotic and automated. And in our quest to feel alive, we seek to put ourselves through some sort of hardship, some sort of challenge, just to remind ourselves that we are in fact still vital. It really is an attempt to trigger and at the same time appease that existential anxiety that we all have. So take, for instance, you go on a bushcraft outing. In doing so, you're making a conscious decision to downgrade your standard of living, if only temporarily. Why would anyone in their right mind, when so many people are struggling just to get above the poverty line and emerge from those conditions that which the bushcrafter has romanticized, why would a person ever want to force themselves to forage for food, have to live in substandard conditions? Well, the truth about this is simple. It's to feel alive. The more automated our lives become as they become increasingly more supplemented with this smart technology, and the more choices we have at our disposal, what TV shows to watch. There's thousands of shows to watch. There's thousands of different types of music to listen to. Thousands of different types of cuisine that we can indulge in. So why would a person ever want to reduce themselves to something so primitive? There is part of everybody in the first world that is literally dead inside. Many people get their catharsis through video games, sports, camping, going and doing extreme things. We in the survivalist to homesteader spectrum have demonstrated that there's more to life than just comfort, that food only tastes good if there is an element of deprivation, that these creature comforts are only comforting if their indulgence was preceded by hardship and struggle, because you'll often find it's the gluttony of modernity that most of us rebel against. It's only through deprivation that we understand satisfaction. And a person of the survivalist subculture has a great appreciation for the fruits of modern civilization, unlike their non-survivalist or anti-survivalist counterparts that take all these luxuries we have at our disposal with an entitlement mentality, and thus they are never satisfied. And this is why I've induced that if we do not reconcile this duality within ourselves, in our civilization, that we are doomed to failure. In this modern technological world, we no longer lack what's coming from the outside. We lack what is supposed to come from within. And it's only in finding that serenity and balance within ourselves can we ever be at peace with ourselves, and can we ever ensure a future for our children. The Native American legend of the Windigo fits perfectly here. Now, this Native American legend was probably more related to the practical purpose of preventing the act of cannibalism. Because the Windigo was somebody who, once they consumed human flesh, in times of famine or otherwise, then had the insatiable urge to continue to consume human flesh. And it was said that the Windigo grew twice its size every time it consumed somebody, thus it could never have its hunger satiated. I find this legend to be one of the most appropriate metaphors for the modern consumer-driven lifestyle, and it's for these reasons why I think society as we know it is doomed to failure. I can't say when or how that might come about, but it's just mathematics to induce that the few who do decide to resist this cultural Wendigo that consumes everything in its midst are suppressed with less than lethal force, punishment, and threats, and sometimes even lethal force itself. Many people who've been indoctrinated to defend the current paradigm in which we live will defend the high rates of depression, divorce, suicide, and general anhedonia that the population has experienced, which is the inability to experience pleasure due to being overstimulated This is typically explained away as being the result of the faster pace of life, the increasing haste at which life's responsibilities command our attention, while at the same time even the poorest amongst us live better than the kings of yesteryear. But there's another reason, and it's that at every turn of this modern technological existence, we are increasingly more complacent, obedient, and at the whim of our social, legal, occupational, and financial obligations. The free-spirited animalistic aspect of our personhood occasionally screams out for sustenance. Bushcraft, survivalism, homesteading, and to some neurotic extent preparedness itself is a manifestation of this inner animal which seeks to control its own destiny. That faint, untamed part of all of us, which remains undomesticated by this system, and thus unfaithful in its ability to satisfy us. The essence of life, free will, choice, is to deviate from the norm, is to be unpredictable to some extent. While in a society where everyone is increasingly more predictable, right down to where they're going to be at a given time of day and what they're going to be thinking when they get there, the most revolutionary of acts becomes the simple detachment from this technological life support system that we call the grid. Because it is only through our detachment to the grid that we truly can be in touch with our life spirit and our humanity. In order for the grid to function as efficiently as it does, it needs to the best of its ability, control, corral, and direct our desires. Downgrading your standard of living and going out into the woods to suffer in and of itself is a testament to why this system is doomed to failure. And even those who do not venture out into the wilderness have their own means of satisfying this inner longing to be connected with their true human spirit. Maybe they do it through going on vacation or trying to find some artificial conduit that might trigger that life force within themselves. So they might go on a cruise ship or some other overly safe artificial experience like that to appease that within them that seeks unpredictability and surprises. Thus, the subculture of survivalism at its roots is a counterculture which resists the impossible pursuit of happiness via material means. On our current trajectory, somewhere down the line in the future, man and machine are going to merge in ways which will see the continuous reduction in free will and increased automation of our behavior. Around the same time, virtual reality experiences may provide us with just enough simulated deprivation to make life worth living. But before the machine that man himself created fully consumes and integrates him into this mechanized dystopian paradigm, there will be resistance. Part of this resistance is simply going out into the wilderness for several days a year, having a cup of tea, and depriving oneself so that you might provide room to be endowed by the wisdom that nature has to offer. I hope this video has been thought-provoking. Thanks for watching. Canadian Prepper out.